So in the last video, we learned how to populate the data fields with fake data or morph data using faker.js. In this video, I'll be showing you how you can use faker.js to generate random images. If you can see on the screen, you have random names and random images. Now this you can use to further enhance your personas or your scenarios and make them more interesting and more engaging. Let's see how we can easily do this kind of tricks using faker.js. Let's begin. So I have my storyline opened, and before I begin, I need to tell that I learned this trick from James Kingsley on eLearning Brothers. They have a lot of amazing blogs. Do check them out. So now what we need to do is, you can have any template or any design on the screen. It doesn't matter, because we'd be injecting those images from outside using scripting. So here it wouldn't matter, but because it's an outside injection, what we need to do is we need to specify a placeholder where the images will be located. Now what we can do is we can go to insert, shape, any shape is fine, and let me just create a rectangle box or square box. Now it doesn't matter what color is this, we can tweak or delete this box later. It's just for the image to be placed as a container, so we need to know where exactly the image needs to be placed. What is the x-axis, what is the y-axis, and what is the height and width. The image will be placed on top of this using scripting, so it is just as a placeholder. So once this is ready, what we need to do is right click and go to accessibility, and in the accessibility just give an alternate text. You can give anything. For example, let me just give placeholder. Okay, so now this accessibility text is basically for screen readers, and it shows an alternate text in place of this image, but using that attribute we can actually locate where this image is and place our image on top of this. So this is all we need to do here, except one more thing, which is the JavaScript function. So I would select this button, go here, and let's just give a function name. So for me, the function name could be anything. Let me just say find image, or yeah, I think that's fine. So this is my function name, find image. We need to remember this because we'll be using this same function in the external JavaScript source code which we'll write. That's it. Click OK, OK, and publish. That's done. We can open and see that all our files are placed here. That's step number 1. Now let's see how it will work. So if we have published the storyline file and open it in browser, this is how it'll look. Now this is the placeholder we have just designed. So the first thing we need to do is to create a div, which is a container which will house our images. So this will be created externally using the scripting we'll just do. Post this, then we'll have the image which we'll create again using faker.js, and this image will be placed inside the div, and then finally this div will be placed inside the placeholder. So this is how it will be, and the process, it looks complex but it's very easy. Let's start. So let's begin the coding part. Before that, I have already placed the faker.min.js file in our storyline output folder. If you want to know how I did that, you can watch my previous video, the part 1, where I explained how you can download the faker.api and extract the faker.min.js file and place it inside the storyline output folder. Now with this, let's write our personalized code to embed images into storyline. So I will use Visual Studio Code Editor, and I will create a new JavaScript file. I can name it as image.js. Now the first thing is to define the function with the same name which we assigned to that button, and that function name was find image. So I will say let find image is equal to function, and now we can write the code. The first thing we need to do is to get the extracted player. So let player is equal to get player. Now we need to define or create a div. If you remember the animation, the first step was to create a div, which was basically a container in HTML in which you can house the image. So the syntax I'd be using would be the jQuery syntax of creating a div container. So it will be let, I can give any name. Let me just say div1 is equal to dollar bracket open and div, and then like this we can close the div tag. Now what I can do is I can give any attribute. This is again optional, but if you want to tweak the attributes externally, you can use the attribute feature. So for example, I can give any ID. Let me just give it as 1. Perfect. Now this is done, and what we can do now is append this div into the body. So by appending, I mean you have to inject this div into the body of that storyline HTML file. So I can just say div1 dot append to and it will be the body tag. So I can just say body. Perfect. This is done. The next step would be to create with the same syntax the image folder. So what I'll do is I will create an image tag, and then I can append that same image into this div. So I will use the same syntax. I can just say let image1 is equal to, let me just use this tag and change this to image, and now I can give it any ID. Let me just give it as 2. But the important part here is to define the source of this image. By source, I mean what image will be embedded inside this tag, and the source we normally define the source either locally or from an external website, but here we are using faker.js. So if you can see the faker.js website, you have a lot of images here. You can use anything because we have cat, city, food, abstract. Let me just use the avatar here. So I'll go back and I'll say the source will be faker.image.avatar. This is how we're going to extract from the API. Great. So now the image is defined, and now we have to append this image into the div tag. So I will say image1 dot append to, and now the tag is div1. So this is done. Now you can see this image is now appended to div1. The last step is to place this div and the image into that placeholder. Now for that we need to have the placeholders x and y coordinates, the height and the width, so that it perfectly aligns on that placeholder, and that's why we defined it. So what we'll do is we'll use again the div offset properties and the jQuery height and width and offset properties to place our div and image over that. So what I'll do is I will use div1 dot offset, which is basically the x and y coordinates, and now I will reference the offset values of that placeholder. So in this I can give anything. So normally I can give 30, 20, 13, 24, which is x and y, but I don't want this. I want the exact offset properties of that placeholder. So I will use my jQuery selector, and it will be the syntax would be dollar, and can have, sorry, it's this, and then I can have my attribute. The attribute for that placeholder alternate text is the area label. So area label is equal to, and the name of that placeholder or that area alternate text was placeholder, so placeholder it is, and there you go. Now with that jQuery selector, I have to extract the offset properties. So I will say dot offset. Perfect. So this is done. Now we have the offset properties, and we are assigning the offset properties of this placeholder that we defined in storyline into this div. We can do the same thing for height and width. So let me just go here and let me just change this to height and the height of the placeholder, and same thing with the width. You need to be very careful with the selector. You need not get the quotes wrong, otherwise it will not work. So I think this is fine. The next thing we need to do is to assign the same properties to the image tag. So I'll just copy one, or I can copy all three, and then change the div one to change div one to image. And then image one, this one also to image one. Perfect. Now here also I will just this is all set. This is it. This is what we need to do to place or embed the images. There's one additional thing which you can do. Again, it's optional, but you can also in the start of the course make the placeholder hidden so that you do not see that color. You can use the timeline function, which is execute JavaScript when the timeline starts, so that you can never see the placeholder. So what you have to do is you can just take the selector and place it somewhere here, and you can say CSS visibility, and then that is hidden. So you will never see the placeholder because you are hiding it. Make sure you don't use a display property and change it to none. Otherwise, without a placeholder, nothing will work. So I'm just hiding that. It is still there, but it's hidden, and that's how it will work. So I think we're done with everything. You can just check the code once again and then save this file. Now we'll go to the storyline HTML file and then reference these files in our head tag. So I'll just go up here. I can just refer, so I can say script source faker.min.js, and then I can have the file image.js. So I can say script source image.js. Perfect. Save this, and now I think we're done, and we can open the file here. So double click, and now you can see that we have the placeholder, we have the title here, and you can see it initially because I have assigned that function, the JavaScript function, to this button. So you can use the timeline function. Now if I click here, you can see that the image pops up. You can click n number of times and you will see a different image each time. What I can do also is I can just try something else. For example, let me just try cats. So I will go to my scripting. Where is it? Here. And let me just change this to cats. Save it, and then hopefully this should only show me the cats photos. All right, there you go. We have the cats, and I think it's just taking some time to fetch, but you have all the cats here. This is how you can embed the images into JavaScript. In the part 1 of this video series, I described how you can embed fake data, and now you also know how you can have fake or random images in storyline. Hope you like this video, and hope you can use this into building your courses and make them more engaging. Do ask questions regarding this if you have any in the comments, and I'll answer them. And you can also tell me what other videos you want, and I'll try to make them as well. Thank you.